Our Impacting Life 24/7 sponsors have helped us go where no podcast has gone before. Platinum sponsors. Poet Katrina McCain is the author of Because She Decided to Love. This book is a collection of poetry and prose about love and its important impact on every relationship. This raw and uncut poetry book addresses the themes of how we experience love through loss, hurt, pain, grief, and passion. Connect with her and get your copy of this book at PoetKatrinaMcCain.com. Donald Skip Mondragon, MD, is a 26-year Army veteran, National Veterans Wrestling Champion, and speaker. He is the author of Wrestling Depression is Not for Wimps. Lessons learned from an amateur wrestler's fight to triumph over depression. Contact him at WrestlingIsNotForWimps.com. The Underdog Ninja Foundation. This was founded in 2020 by Javi and Jessica Madrigal, a husband and wife team that have been battling and overcoming heart disease for over 18 years. Their personal story and experiences have led them to follow their calling of empowering, educating, and supporting those fighting heart disease. Contact this amazing team at UnderdogNinja.com. Belinda Tyson Linder. She has spent decades investing in people from all different walks of life. She has led inner city programs for disadvantaged youth, as well as been a mentor to young adults, married couples, and individuals facing adversity. Belinda and her husband have built multiple 6- and 7-figure businesses and have trained leaders on having tenacity and character in business. Ultimately, Belinda cares about people and shows the love of God to everyone she encounters. Bettina Carey. Bettina Carey is the diminutive 4'9.5" Latina. She inspires and empowers women to create big results. They break through. No, they shatter their earnings glass ceilings. They kick self-imposed limitations to the curb and live their legacies now. Whether she's coaching from a live or virtual stage or conferring with a small cohort of bold women and men on the rise at a conference table, her championship strategies say you can win today. Contact her at WeEmpowerYourLife.com. If you would like to become a sponsor of Impacting Life 24/7, reach out to CLKingspeaker.com. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Just reach out to CLKingspeaker.com and you can become one of our sponsors to help us on this mission of impacting one life one day at a time. Yeah, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here first. This is your host, CL King, coming to you live from the High Definition Studios here in Impactville. I'm sitting atop the Ruth E. Plowden Legacy Chair, and this is it for us this week, ladies and gentlemen. This is the last show of the week. That's right, our work week is different than everybody else's. That's just because how we roll. And what a way to close out the week than by looking at a wall. I know it seems like that doesn't seem like that fits, CL. But, you know, really being this cathedral of resources that we have here, a lot of things that we do may not fit. But I want to talk to you tonight, and we're blessed to have in our virtual studios the founder and creator of Walls of Love. This young lady, once pregnant and homeless herself with a domestic violence situation, Walls of Love founder Holly Jackson knows firsthand how defeated and lonely it can feel to be without a home and lacking hope. That's a reality, ladies and gentlemen. Despite her own personal struggles, Holly overcame homelessness and poverty. In November 2018, Holly started the Walls of Love campaign to give back to her local community in Cleveland, Ohio, and the surrounding neighborhoods in that area. Holly explained, "I only had the intention of doing one wall." That's the way it starts sometimes. "I only had the intention of doing one wall, but that is not the calling that I ended up receiving. I ended up connecting with people in my city that needed help on such an emotional and spiritual level that this journey has now led me to my 1,000th wall as of September 2021. We have helped over 325,000 people. And here's what I want you guys to know. We are blessed to have in our virtual studios someone who is building walls of love all around the country. Would you help me in welcoming to our virtual studios Miss Holly Jackson? Welcome, Holly.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you doing?
I'm great. It's cold here in Cleveland tonight, but it's definitely not the blizzard that it was last week.
Yeah, here in Eastern Carolina, we had our little share, a snippet of what they would call snow in Eastern Carolina that you guys up there in the north would laugh at. I think we had maybe a half an inch, and it shut the whole city down.
Oh wow. Yes, I think last week we had about 30 some inches. Yeah, almost 3 feet.
Well,
It was great.
as you know, I do have some that is my land of nativity up there in the northeastern Ohio area. Actually born and raised partially in Cleveland and then the rest of the time in Lorain. I've been down here in North Carolina now for 28.5 years, and I have no intentions of going back north.
Well, I can understand that. It's kind of a love-hate relationship.
Right.
You love it when it's falling because the snow is absolutely beautiful. The
Right.
landscape outside is gorgeous. But when you have to go out and move around in that or try to drive in that or get to work in that, it's definitely not the business.
Yeah, I know, man. Yeah, and this is an interesting little known history fact. I got my driver's license when I was 18 and I moved here, so I have no clue of how to drive in the snow. If it
Oh
snows,
wow.
I stay in. It's just that simple. So again, ladies and gentlemen, you're tuning in to Impact Life 24/7 with your host CL King. We are joined tonight by Miss Holly Jackson from Cleveland, Ohio. Holly, how can people reach out to you and connect with you? I know you got a whole lot of things going on, traveling all over the country, but what's some good virtual ways that people can reach out to you?
Well, we definitely have, the normal social media things. We have a Facebook, we have Instagram. Our Instagram is walls underscore of underscore love. You can find us there. We also have a Twitter, which is the @ walls of love one. We even have TikTok, so that would be at walls of love 216. And then, of course, we have our regular website, which is www.wallsoflove.com.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. So all those areas that she told you to the ways that you can reach out to her, I'm asking that you would go there even right this moment. The very ventricles extending from your heart should be moving the blood to your fingers to get those fingers to go and check out wallsoflove.com. I've never said that before, but that came out pretty good. Wallsoflove.com. You can check her out on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. And that's really, really important because, in some of the coaching that I do for people, I say, listen, you don't want everybody to be able to touch you, but you do want everybody to be able to reach you. And so I don't want people showing up at my house, but I do definitely want to be able to be reached. And so it's really good to see an organization like yours, Holly, that is people can reach you from all different ways. Of course, I know you got an email too, right? wallsoflove@gmail.
It's wallsoflove216@gmail.com.
wallsoflove216@gmail.com. Okay, so now, I know you. We were talking in the pre-show, getting everything set. Technology is so amazing. And here we are in the month of love, right? And so I can't wait for us to really unpack the topic that we're going to bring tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, just if you would just go behind the scenes, you can actually go behind my back, if you would, and go to wallsoflove.com and begin to see for yourself the amazing work that Holly and her team is doing. But before we get into that, Holly, tell us a little bit about yourself. Introduce yourself to our virtual audience.
Well, I am actually a Cleveland girl through and through. I was born in Cleveland and eventually moved to Lorain and went to school there. I come from a very diverse background. So I do have authentic brothers and sisters, so full blood. But then my parents were also, they also did foster parenting and things like that. So I don't put specific titles on things like my half sister, my half brother, my foster. We're just brothers and sisters. So, you know, kind of like we are with God. You know what I'm saying? We're all brothers and sisters in Christ. So, for my particular family, there's 16 of us kids. So I have 14 brothers, one sister. Um, so you know, grew up with lots of lots of sports, lots of you know family dinners, lots of love, lots of friends, and it's so nice because as you know from being from the Lorraine area, it's a multicultural, multifaceted city. So you know, there's lots of culture, lots of diversity, and it was really fun growing up in that atmosphere. And even though people kind of rag on me a little bit, I am definitely a Cleveland girl through and through. I'm an Ohio girl, so I'm a Buckeye fan. I am definitely a Browns fan, no matter what happens, through and through. Uh, you know, the Indians, which is now the Guardians fan, and then of course the Cavs. So
Whoa. Hold on, back up. What happened with the Indians?
the Indians have a new name now. They are now known as the Guardians.
Wow, ladies and gentlemen, I really have been must be hiding under a rock because I did not know that. When did that name change?
The name just changed at the end of the season, so it's official now. But all the merch is out now, so
Oh,
it's
goodness.
now it's,
What's the mascot?
it is the Guardians that are on the bridge across Cleveland. So it's a C with little angel wings, but it's the Guardians, yeah, the Guardian statues that we have.
Okay. Well, that's a little known history fact here, ladies and gentlemen. You're tuning in to Impact Life 24/7 with your host CL King. I am joined in the virtual studios with Miss Holly Jackson. She is the founder, CEO, and procreator of Walls of Love. Wallsoflove.com is where you can reach her. So go to wallsoflove.com right now and check out her website because it's truly you're going to really be amazed and you're going to want to participate in what's going on there at Walls of Love. And so Holly, you know, now that I'm totally over the shock of the Cleveland Indians name change, let's get down to it because you being a native of Ohio and doing the work that you're doing now, things weren't always like this. And that, you know, oftentimes, like even with myself, some of the trauma and some of the experiences that we have are the motivators for why we do what we do now. And so let's go into some of the motivators before we get into the actual Walls of Love. There were some things you went through, some traumatic times coming up in the bitter cold streets of Cleveland. So kind of unpack that for us. And you know, your homelessness, domestic abuse, you experienced all of that, huh?
I did. And, you know, I feel that a lot of times that the things we go through, it either makes you or breaks you, right? So sometimes, like you said, we use it as motivation to be able to grow, or sometimes people don't know how to grow through things and they become very bitter, you know, maybe they end up in trouble, you know, those kind of things. For me, I believe it was more kind of, you know, like a motivation. And I say that because in living through domestic violence and sexual assault and, you know, those kind of things, you know, I think at some point in time, a lot of people, you know, listen, they feel like they wish they weren't here, you know,
Right.
or they wish they were in another place. You know, if we can even say it on the radio, you know, at one point in time, I was very suicidal. I wished I was dead, you know, and it took a lot of therapy, a lot of counseling, a lot of, you know, things to be able to get through that because I just didn't understand, you know, you feel like you're such a good person and you're kind to people and you love people and you know those kind of things, and how can somebody who claims that they love you do those kinds of things, you know?
So during,
And
sir, let me just ask, during those times of abuse, because you know that with my book coming out in July, I detail a lot of that in my own personal life. Um, you know, in the moment, you're bringing up something that's really powerful, Holly. That you know, you're like, I'm doing well. Why is this happening to me?
Mhm,
So those were the feelings that you were going through, especially coming from someone who you thought cared about you, huh?
absolutely. And you don't understand it, you know? And I think that a lot of times people have to understand that it's not us. It's someone else's behavior, it's someone else's trauma. You know, one of my favorite things to say is hurt people hurt people.
That's right.
And it's because they don't know a lot of times what to do. It's their knee jerk reaction, it's what they have learned, it's their experiences. And sometimes, not always, but sometimes that's all they know. So if you've been beat on as a child and you're beat on all the time growing up, and that's the only thing that you know, usually as the parent to your own children, that's what happens. You become abusive because you're not breaking the cycle, because that's what you know.
Right.
And a lot of times people don't realize that it's wrong. You know, I don't want to like bash men or downgrade men or anything like that, but you know, society says that men are the stronger of the, I guess, the cultures. Men are stronger than females. They're supposed to be the breadwinners. They're supposed to be the ones full of strength. They're the ones that are not supposed to have feelings, although they should absolutely have feelings. But that's what we're conditioned to believe.
Right.
Women are soft and gentle and frilly, and you know, women cry and boo-hoo and those kind of things. And the cultures make us feel like we can't express things, we can't do what we need to do, and that is completely inappropriate and wrong. Because at the end of the day, whether you are a male, whether you are a female, whether you are a child, it doesn't matter. Everyone's feelings are valid,
Right.
everyone's emotions are valid, the things that people go through are valid.
Right.
And when we discount those things, or we make people feel like they can't express who they are, or even in the case of, you know, with sexual assault, what's the first thing that happens a lot of times? And it doesn't even have to be with someone famous.
Hmm.
It's, oh well, look what she wore, or look what she said, or look where she went.
Right.
That should not be a mitigating factor as to why somebody got assaulted.
Yeah, that's true. And you know, one of the things that again, for those of you tuning in, this is Impacting Life 24/7 with your host CL King, joined in the virtual studios here by Miss Holly Jackson. She is the founder and CEO and cook, chief, and bottle washer at Walls of Love. When you talk about that statement that you said, hurt people. Um, you know, when we look at the cycle of these things, these things that happened to you, Holly, were they early on in your life after you kind of got out the house, or were they, you know, how what age were you when this stuff was going on?
So for me personally, I dealt with abuse really early on. Not from my mother or father, but when my parents got divorced, my dad remarried, and his wife, which is my stepmother, was very, very abusive. She would, you know, do things like she would hit us when we were sleeping. You know, I mean, at one point in time in my life, she threw an iron at me, like a iron that you iron your clothes with. Smack us in the face, pull our hair. You know, we would constantly have bruises. At one point in time, she was beating on my little brother so bad she broke his arm.
Oh my.
And you know, so I was in a hurry to leave that situation. As soon as I could get out of the house,
Right.
I left, only to go into, you know, a relationship and dating someone when I was in college. who, had the authoritarian issue, like, I'm the dictator, you do what I say, you're my trophy kind of thing. And at first, I thought it was cute. Oh, I have all this attention. Oh, I'm his little trophy. And, but it wasn't cute, because when I didn't do what he said or I disagreed, he would yoke me up, or he would smack me, or he would snatch me. And it would always be like, I'm sorry, baby, I didn't mean it. I didn't mean to do that. And then you kind of go through the honeymoon phase after, and then everything is fine for a while. And then it happens again and again and again. And each time it gets worse. And the average time frame, I don't know if you know this or not, but the average amount of times that it takes for somebody who's in a violent or domestic violence situation to leave and actually leave the situation is 7. And usually by that time, someone's in jail, someone's been in the hospital, someone is dead. And those are just facts.
Are you saying seven times or 7 years or what?
It takes 7 times on average. So there's
7
no
appearances. Yeah, gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
and so you navigate through that, trying to rationalize, why this is happening, and then you wind up forgiving and attempting to move on, and then the cycle continues. So how did this lead to homelessness?
So what ended up happening ultimately is, I was pregnant before my oldest daughter. So one of the domestic violence situations that happened is I was pregnant. We got into an argument and he threw me down 3 flights of stairs. And I had a miscarriage. And that was like the last great honeymoon phase, because everything was like, oh my goodness, you slipped, we were arguing. No, I didn't slip, you pushed me.
Mm-hmm.
But because when I went down the stairs, I was knocked out. The ambulance came, they took me to the hospital. He told them at the hospital that I slipped. And many, many years ago, they didn't question it. That was my husband.
Right.
So, what he said was what happened, but after that honeymoon phase kind of went by, about 6 or 8 months later, I ended up pregnant with my oldest daughter. And when the situation started getting worse, I just didn't want my child to live through that.
Right.
I was more concerned about her safety and what was going to happen. And so I think I just decided that I didn't really care about material things.
Right.
Like, I just wanted to go. So I left everything. I mean, literally everything. I took a backpack and I left, and I went to the homeless shelter. And back then in the homeless shelter, 72 hours was the maximum that you could stay.
Right.
And I was employed, so I would go to work every day. But after the 3 days, that was it. So I tried to apply for different things, such as food stamps and medical and cash and those kind of things. And I made $7.11. I will never forget it. $7.11, too much.
7-11.
That's it. And I wasn't able to get any assistance. And so I slept on benches. I slept under bridges. I couch surfed. I did all kinds of things. But in my mind, I was doing the right thing, because I was trying to make sure that, 1, I was not going to live like that anymore. Mm-hmm. And 2, that my daughter was not going to come into this world with, an abusive parent.
Interestingly enough, ladies and gentlemen, again, this is CL King coming to you live from Impacting Life 24/7. I'm joined by my guest, Holly Jackson. You can find her at wallsoflove.com. There's opportunities for you to get engaged with what she's doing right now, relative to volunteerism, donating. There's just a whole plethora of things that you can get activated in right now. One thing that resonates with me talking about homeless is that, when I was in the Cleveland area, I'm probably, me and you may have slept under the same bridges that because I had to go through that period of time too, when I was 11 and 12. And so people don't realize the utter desperation you feel when you're leaving a situation that's, life threatening. And, mine was leaving home. I just ran away. I was not going to stay there another time. And yours was, you needed to protect your offspring. You needed to protect your daughter and yourself. And so, when people say that, this is why I'm belaboring this point. When people say, I've endured domestic violence, I've endured sexual abuse, I've endured homelessness. Sometimes people hear that, Holly, and they just, because everything is so sensationalized now through the medium of social media, TikTok, etc., right? Everything is so sensationalized that people have almost become numb to the struggle of humanity. And it is no short thing that you're alive to this day, because I saw some stuff under those bridges that man, I'm not even gonna put in my book. You know what I'm saying? And you had to have tenacity and grit and grind to make it through there. And so you get out of that situation, but it was not without a fight, right?
Absolutely. And the thing of it is that I will say in the positive aspect of it is there is a very strong camaraderie for people who are homeless, people who are needy, people who are living in the streets.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you have people that that rob, that steal, that are abusive, that are terrible to each other. But one of the things that I have absolutely found in humanity and things that restore the humanity to my soul is the people that have the least are the most genuine and the most generous.
Right.
We would have people that would, have a little bit of food or get a little bit of money or find things. And, they may have only got, $4 or $5, but they may have bought a whole bunch of penny candy. They may have bought a whole bunch of quarter bags of chips.
Yeah.
And they bring it back for everybody to share, and they're not selfish. Now, are there people out there who act like they're homeless and try to collect monies and are being very dishonest? Of course there are.
Right.
But the majority of the time, even in my visits to Skid Row and things like that out in Cali, those people are so genuine and they're so kind. And the only thing they ask for people is to not judge them.
Right.
And that's part of the things that I do with my platform is I try to educate people.
Right. Yeah. And that's important. And you said something really interesting, because I know that I have stopped my car along the highways here throughout the great South. And this is God's country down here, ladies and gentlemen. I know that I've stopped my car on a multitude of occasions and handed people funds who are on the side of the road with a sign. And the principle that I try to teach my kids is that after I put it in their hands, my obligation is done. You know what I mean? What they do with it is on them. That's why like you say, I don't judge. Otherwise you'll handcuff yourself from potential blessings, and Walls of Love is truly a blessing throughout the country. I'm just looking at some of the amazing things that you've done. And so let's get to, before we run out of time, let's get to this concept of Walls of Love. I know it was birthed because of the struggles that you had went through, and being homeless, you obviously saw some opportunity you needed some help and couldn't even get a hand. People think it's a hand out. It's just a hand up. Just give me a hand here real quick. And so in 2018, what happened? You had an epiphany. How did this get started?
So in 2018, it was November of 2018. I live in Cleveland, obviously, so it's snowing and cold. And I was going down the road and I saw some people that looked like they needed assistance. It could have been a family, but I associate them with a family. But they're in whether inappropriate clothing, Crocs with no socks, no jackets, those kind of things. And I offered them some help. And as I was going back down the road after giving them what I gave them, I was talking to myself. I don't know if anybody else does that, but I do that often.
Right.
And I said to myself, I wish there was some magic place, just like a magic wall where people could go and get things without people judging them, without consequences, those kind of things. And that was kind of my epiphany. And I was like, well, why can't there be, And there was a new business that was coming into Old Brooklyn, which is a small little suburb outside of Cleveland where I live. And they have a fence on the outside of the restaurant. And, I thought, well, what better way to introduce them to the neighborhood? Maybe, do something spectacular, have people see it, and then go into the restaurant, right? And then enjoy the restaurant and support the new restaurant. So I go and I knock on the window, and the man comes over to the door, unlocks it, and I introduce myself. And I'm a little bubbly sometimes, especially when I'm excited. And so I said to the man, I was like, hey, welcome to the neighborhood. My name is Holly Jackson. I have this really great idea. And the man's like, whoa, lady.
Yeah.
And so I said, this is what I'd like to do. He was very sweet. And when he heard my idea, he was like, that is fantastic. I love that idea. He was like, where did you get that? I said, I came up with it on my own. And I said, I wish when I was homeless that there was something like this, out in the community. Because it's really easy for, people to go ask for help if they want it during 9 to 5, regular business hours.
Right.
But people who don't want to go in there, or somebody who doesn't have ID or social security card, birth certificate, things that are all requirements,
Right.
Sometimes people can't get help because they need those things. And so I said, what I'd like to do is I'd like to, call this a wall of love. I'd like to, zip tie some stuff up here, essential items, non-perishable food items, hats, gloves, scarves, things like that, socks, hygiene products, and people can come get them. No questions asked. And the guy was like, I love it. So what I did is I got a bonus from my work, and I used that money to purchase the stuff, did a little bit of Facebook fundraising with my friends, put it up, and it was, honest to God, really only meant to be a one-time thing. I just wanted to do something great for the community. And the news media got a hold of it, and it went crazy. And so there was so much traction and so much need, that I started another Facebook fundraiser, and people started donating. And here we are 3 years later. We are now a nonprofit, so it's not just a wall. We're a nonprofit. We are a 501c3, so any donations that people give to us, they can be tax deductible. We are patented and trademarked, both. And in a little over 3 years, I'm going to give you these numbers because the numbers you gave before were awesome, but they're better now. So in a little over 3 years, we've done 1,200 walls in 24 states across the U.S. We have helped over 500,000 people. No corporate sponsors, just organic, everyday people just being awesome and kind and helping us. And I always tell people that there's no amount that you donate that's too small. I can make magic happen with $1.
Right.
And so then people started asking us, well, how do we do this? And I said, well, go to my website. You can donate there. We have Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, Zelle, Facebook Pay, all of those things.
Yeah, and again, she said, sometimes little is much when God is in it, and I want to just show this because they say seeing is believing, but I just want to show you guys this for those that will be able to see this. I want to show it to you in real time. This is an example of the walls of love, and as you can see there, They zip tie essential items onto these walls. And I love what it says: take what you need, leave the rest for others, pay it forward when you can. And you say you've done over 1,000 walls now?
We're up to 1,200 now.
1,200 walls. And really what we're looking for tonight is for you to, if this would be something that's a passion in your heart, how simple it is to maybe become a sponsor of a wall in North Carolina, in our cities. Very, very simple. And Holly has visited all of her walls except one, and that was in Antarctica or somewhere cold, right?
Fairbanks, Alaska.
Yeah, I knew it was somewhere cold.
And the only reason I didn't go to that one is because I was putting up a wall somewhere else.
Right. So Walls of Love, Little Rock, Arkansas. I mean, this is the Cleveland Indians hosted a wall too?
Yes, they did our 1,000th wall. We did it on the ballpark fencing downtown.
Wow. Fairbanks.
And let me tell you that the need there was it's always great, but we helped over 4,500 people. We put up 4,500 pieces, bags up on the wall, and minus about 80 bags, they were all gone in 24 hours.
Wow. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. It says here over 500,000 items donated. I'm sure that's more now. And
yes,
745 plus neighborhoods impacted. And again, ladies and gentlemen, this is something that you can get involved in right now. I want you to go, stop what you're doing, and I want you to go to wallsoflove.com and contact Holly Jackson. What you do is you kind of take this is kind of like a road tour, right? In other words, you build support and get support from the various neighborhoods that you put the walls in, right?
Yes. So some of the walls are surprises. What we do is we take information from people. So people who have gone to our website and said, hey, I want to volunteer, or hey, I think this would be a great place for a wall to be. So we take that information and we go to the cities and we do the walls. Now, obviously, we want them to be sustainable if that's possible. Some of our walls are one-time walls only. We go into the city, we do the walls. The stuff is usually gone within 24 to 48 hours. We clean it up and then we leave it just as beautiful as when we got there. But the majority of the places that I have been, the majority of those places have decided to keep the wall. And other businesses or entities have helped to sustain it and helped us go back and fill it. And so for those reasons, a lot of times we put up where we're getting ready to go, because we have people obviously all over the US. I have requests from the UK right now. I have requests from Mexico, Canada, Australia. So all of these places want us to come and do walls. I'm getting ready to do a wall in Vegas. I'm getting ready to do another wall. This will be my third wall in Atlanta, the Atlanta area. I definitely want to come to your area of Carolina. I've been to Charlotte a couple times. We've put up several different walls and some of the surrounding areas down near Charlotte that I'd like to kind of get up that way. I've been to South Carolina. We have a request to come back there, but I'm going out to Cali. I'm also going to, where else am I going? My gosh, it changes so much all the time. I'm also going to Arizona. We're going to Arizona in May.
Oh,
so
nice. Right when it starts getting nice and hot.
Yeah, but even people who are out there in the heat, they need help too. So we want to try to do that. So if somebody has an idea of where they'd like to see a wall, email us or go to our website, send us the information. If somebody would like to sponsor a wall, whether it be a church, an entity, a person, or a business, we have some really nice things that we try to do. Obviously, as a nonprofit, we're broke. We don't have money. 100% of what we get goes back to the communities. And I like to be very transparent about that. Because sometimes people say, oh, well, you travel all over the place. Any places that I travel, even if it's for Walls of Love, I pay for that out of my own pocket. So whether I'm driving or flying or paying for the hotel, I personally pay for that. All of the monies, 100% of the monies that we collect go back to the community.
Wow, you can't find a lot of nonprofits that can say that. And so again, ladies and gentlemen, you go to wallsoflove.com. I was just looking at the people who have covered this. Or the entities that have covered what Holly Jackson is doing. I mean, WBTW.com, WNCT.com, Fox4K.com, Spectrum1.com, the GastonGazette.com, just on and on and on. These outlets are like, hey, we got to get a hold of this. 11alive.com, WBRC. I mean, writing news articles, paper articles, WKYC. I think that's KRP is in Cincinnati. That show, remember WKRP?
I do. So WKYC is here in Cleveland, and there's a couple other places that maybe people may know, if you don't mind me embellishing and sharing a little bit. So the Nick Cannon Morning Show, CNN, Mike Huckabee, the Huckabee Show. I don't know if anybody knows, there's this beautiful young lady by the name of Kelly Clarkson. I was on the Kelly Clarkson Show. So, not to say that to be braggadocious, but I'm so humbled that people find what I do so amazing, and I love it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I knew those other places. I was just trying to scroll down to them, Miss Holly Jackson. But no, again, here's the deal: is that I told my team this the other day. I said, people don't like to go and eat, even though we fuss that there's a line, but people are intrigued by a full parking lot at a restaurant. They're intrigued by it. Like, the food must be good. And when you start looking at people who are like, hey, this is an amazing cause. Those are the types of people that we bring on the show, and the types of people we try to connect you with. This is an endeavor that we should see Walls of Love in all 50 states. And it could happen tonight, where we could get 4 or 5 brand new walls. And all you got to do that is to go to wallsoflove.com. Of course, if you just want to, you may not have the capacity to sponsor a wall, but you want to give to the next wall and the next effort. All you got to do is go to wallsoflove.com. As you heard, she pays for all of the things out of her own pocket relative to travel, etc. And so we need your help and financial support to put these essential items into these Ziploc bags that they attach to the wall. Here's what you got to realize, and this was a great contrast. Yeah, in Cleveland it was snowing, and in Arizona it's going to be blistering hot. So it doesn't really matter the season. The need does not know a season. It's a need that needs to be met. And so we're very blessed to have in our studio someone of this caliber who really, really cares about humanity. So now, before we close, tell us where you envision, because I just kind of threw it out there. Let's get Walls of Love in all 50 states. But what is your long-term vision for Walls of Love?
Well, absolutely. By the end of next year, I would like to be in all 50 states. I'm a little bit of an overachiever. Right. So I'd like to do it by the end of the year, but I don't know if that's humanly possible. There's a lot of work behind the scenes that go into it that people don't realize. Some of my volunteers will be like, whoa, I didn't realize that it's this much work. Because sometimes people think, oh, you just go put things up, and it's not really as easy as that. But hopefully I make it look easy, because I want it to look easy, because it's an amazing thing that we do to be able to give out, kindness to people. But I would definitely love to be in all 50 states. And I would also like to eventually do, some international walls. However, being that I'm here from the US, I would like to take care of us first.
Right.
Before I venture off to help others. Not that they're not worthy, because they absolutely are. But I would like to, just kind of make sure that I take care of us first before I move on to that.
Okay, well that sounds like an awesome endeavor, and I believe that in short order this will be accomplished. The reason why I believe that is because you've already proven that the need is there, and what they say, the field is white, ready unto harvest, and so we just need laborers to join and partner with this mission and this grand purpose of Walls of Love. Wallsoflove.com, and you can do a couple different things there. You can volunteer, you can donate, and you can sponsor a wall in your city. So let's try to knock all three of those out. This has been truly a revelation for us on Impacting Life 24/7 to close out this week in the month of February talking about love, right? What better way we could demonstrate that love by helping get behind this mission of Walls of Love. So Holly, before we close, I'm going to give you the floor, and I'd love to get your final thoughts. Give a word of encouragement to our audience out there. The floor is yours.
Well, definitely the first thing I'd like to say is thank you so much for having us on the show. We want to encourage everybody who is going to take a look at Walls of Love. Please like us, follow us, and share. That's the way that we get things out there. And just so you guys know, a lot of times walls are meant to keep people out. My walls are meant to engage people. My walls are meant to spread love. And I think one of the most important things that we should do is we should be kind to each other. The pandemic, if nothing else, it has taught us all that we are all 5 seconds away from being in the same kind of situation. So definitely don't judge, be kind, and spread love, spread positivity, spread kindness, spread God.
Yeah, that's powerful. And we're going to spread it all through the Walls of Love. Listen, again, ladies and gentlemen, go there right now, wallsoflove.com. And here's what I want you to do. When you go there, tell Holly that you saw her on Impacting Life 24/7. That's what we really want. Like, okay, this is a full circle connection. And Holly, we thank you so much for your mission, your ministry, your passion for others. And we're going to continue to support you all throughout the year. We're going to keep our eyes on what you got going on, where the next Wall of Love is, and help you promote it. Okay?
All right. Sounds good. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. I hope you have a great evening.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's Impacting Life 24/7 for the week. That's it. See how simple that is to be able to extend kindness to mankind. One thing that she did say is that it does take work, but she makes it look easy. And that's kind of what we as content creators want to do. We don't want everybody to feel sorry for us. We just want everybody to join in with us. All you got to do is help us fan these flames. Wallsoflove.com. Wallsoflove.com. So we'll be back here in the virtual studios Monday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we're going to kick off a new series. And so we look forward to talking with you then. Please do something good for somebody this weekend and continue to impact one life, one day at a time. Have a good night.